Hey, hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're joining in from the APAC region. So, welcome to the introductory session of Gen AI Academy APAC edition. So, building on the successful launch in India, wherein we had a lot of developer interest over the past year, we are introducing an expanded APAC edition of Gen AI Academy. The Google Cloud Gen AI Academy APAC 2026 is a premier challenge based learning and development program designed to significantly upskill technical professionals and developers across the region in generative AI technologies on Google Cloud. So, as I was mentioning, right, we were doing Gen AI Academy in India the past year. After all the reception that we received, the amount of encouragement from the developer ecosystem, the amount of upskilling, the people, the stories that we got, how they were upskilling on Google Cloud technologies, we are here. We are inviting the developers from Asia Pacific region now. So this edition is open to the entire Asia Pacific region. The countries that you can see over here, starting from India, Australia, Indonesia, Philippines, Singapore, Bangladesh, China, Korea, all the countries and many others which are in Southeast Asia, Korean region, Australia, New Zealand, etc., are welcome to participate in this edition of Gen AI Academy. Okay, so while the question remains for the developers, like what is in it for them? What is the journey that they would be going through? What is in it that they will be getting out of this program? So first of all, without wasting much of time, I'll quickly take you through what is in it for the developers. So, any form of a developer, whether they are professionals or startups, whenever they register onto this program, they are selected, they are made to choose a track. So, there are different tracks. If you'll see right now, there's one cohort. The first cohort is live on the website for those who have already registered and have joined us today. So you will have multiple cohorts. The first cohort is live at this stage. The first action in the cohort that you need to do is select a track. Tracks are for different functionalities. Some might be AI heavy, some might be data heavy, some might be infrastructure heavy. Once you have selected a track, you attend your respective workshops for that track. You get a hands-on learning from Google developers who would be taking these sessions. And again, of course, we'll be having multilingual sessions. So to speak of, to be precise, we'll be having sessions in English. We'll be having workshops based on Bahasan language for Indonesian region. We'll be having in Korean language, as well as we'll be having in Chinese language. Then moving on, the next step that we have is completion of Codelabs. So Codelabs is an essential part. It is a mandatory step that needs to be completed by developers. Post that, you can also opt for completing Google Skills, wherein you'll be learning more enhanced and completing on hands-on labs of Google Cloud technologies. Post which, there's an MCQ assessment, which is a checkpoint for the developers who have completed all these steps. And on all of these learnings that they have had in their track, be it the workshop, be it the completion of code labs which are associated with those workshops, and then again the Google skills that are associated with those workshops, and the MCQ assessment, you will be building upon a project which will be a submission for this project. Post which, the hackathon would be open for that specific cohort. So each cohort, starting from right now as we are speaking, we are in the first cohort of this entire academy program. The first cohort will have the hackathon towards the end of the cohort, and post that we again start with a new cohort with new tracks, etc. Now, what's in it for developers? I've told you the upskilling journey. I've told you what you will get out of it in terms of learning, etc. But that's not all. Obviously, we have a lot of prizes, rewards, etc. So there's cash prizes. There's Gen AI Master Certificate that you will get upon completion of the entire academy journey. So if you complete the entire academy journey, you will be eligible for a Gen AI Master Certificate Obviously, there will be goodies in between, which you can claim multiple campaigns that will be running. Then there will be a graduation ceremony. So, until the hackathon of the cohort, the entire phase is the learning phase, wherein you are attending a workshop, you are completing Codelabs. If required, you can also complete certain Google skills. Then post that you'll be attempting the MCQ. If you clear the initial benchmark of the MCQ score, you would be also submitting a project. If all the steps have been completed successfully, if all the criteria are met, you'll be getting Gen AI Master Certificate. You'll be having a graduation ceremony for people who are completing those. And again, obviously, there's something which is Gen AI Elite Club, alumni network, which would be created out of this. So there's a lot to take up, both in terms of learning, both in terms of rewards, in terms of recognitions. Now, having said that, what's in it for the top performers? Because we know there will be lots of developers, hundred thousands of developers would be participating. So how do we recognize the top performers? So for that, if I deep dive into the reward section, participants who complete all the action item in at least one of the tracks will earn the Gen AI Master Certificate, as I mentioned earlier. All the completers will be invited to the graduation ceremony, where we'll also celebrate and showcase the projects of the top 10 performers. These top 10 performers would be selected on the criteria of their MCQ assessment score plus the projects that they have built in the academy phase. Finally, the participants who completed the academy and the hackathon and rank among the top 100 performers will be invited to join the exclusive Gen AI Elite Club and Alumni Network. And we'll also have other exclusive rewards in different stages for our performers in this entire duration. So overall, this is what the program is. Right now, we are talking about cohort one because that is live at this stage. And to elaborate further, understand what all nitty-gritties would be there, I'd like to introduce the speaker for the today, Prasant Subramaniam, who's leading Google Cloud Developer Relations for JPAC and Google Cloud. Hey, Prasant, how are you doing?
Doing awesome, Kaushik. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, it's great to have you over here, Prashant. So over to you now. I'd say the entire audience is yours. We are having a great crowd today, and they're all eagerly awaiting for what's in it for them after the great success of Gen AI Academy the last year in India, and now we are expanding it to APAC region. So over to you, Prashant.
So much for having me here, and yeah, super excited to be here to talk to you all and launch this program. So, checking if my slides are on the screen.
Yes, there, Prashant.
Yep, there
Yeah.
we go. Okay, awesome. Um, cool. So, like I said, super excited to be here to launch the first cohort. All right, so let's start with this. This is the first cohort that we're going to be running as part of the Gen AI Academy in 2026, right? And this is the cohort that is going to be running from January till March. So we're going to be running this quarterly. Um, it is February, as you can see while we are doing this session. But the website has been live, you would have been registered, and you can maybe already start looking at some of the content and how we're going to go through this, right? So the cohort has essentially started, and we are taking it a notch further through February. So the way that you look at this, right, as you can clearly see from on the slide right now, is we have thought about each cohort structured into two parts or two phases. The first part is what we like to call the academy, right? And this and that the next thing that follows from the academy is the hackathon. So we are looking at a very structured way or approach to learning, right? So in the academy, what the participants will do is you are going to learn, you are going to apply your concepts, and um, it looks like my slides are disappearing. Kaushik, if you could just check if my slides are okay and if they're displaying, let me know. Yeah.
Prashant, it's back now, but we did see there was a glitch for a duration.
Yeah. I think it looks like whenever you go out of the screen. So why don't you stay on the screen with me? I'll like to
Okay,
have you
okay.
as company there.
Yeah.
Awesome. No, it's always fun, right? It's always exciting when we have to handle some technical issues while we are presenting.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
right. So as I was saying, we are looking at this in two phases. One is the academy phase, and one is the hackathon phase. So in the academy phase, what we're going to be doing is we're going to have a very structured learning program. So we're going to be looking at teaching you certain concepts. We're going to give you practical, real world examples and real world implementations to learn and implement these concepts. Right. So we'll be having hands-on code labs. We'll be having sessions as well, learning content. We'll be walking you through workshops where you will do hands-on, learn these skills by actually implementing it. We also have optional Google Skills labs, right? And why this is optional is this is your learning investment, right? So these are uh, resources that is available to you to learn and make use of, right? But whether you think the code labs and the sessions are sufficient, or whether you think you want to go through additional learning content in the form of Google Skills labs, that's completely up to you. As Kaushik was saying, we will then have multiple choice questions, so MCQ assessments, and finally a project submission where you can showcase your learning. Right? You have to whatever you learned, you apply that and show that you are actually able to implement a project using these skills. Now, this is the practical part of it, right? Once that is done, every cohort, at the end of every cohort, we'll have a cohort specific hackathon. And here, everyone who is part of this cohort will be given a single problem statement, right? So you'll have a common problem statement and you will try to solve this challenge, right? And we will get to more details about the logistics of how this hackathon will happen as we get to that stage. But you form teams and you go ahead and challenge yourself to solving this problem statement during this hackathon. So this is how we're thinking about it, right? Learn, implement, and then challenge yourself, right, with your learnings. Yeah. So in cohort one, the way we are thinking about it is, all right, we have kickstarted this off. So what we want to do is you've been using AI, you've been using AI agents, you've been building a lot of things yourselves, right? What we want to do is we want to see how to take you from going beyond simple demos and prototypes to actually building production ready Gen AI applications on Google Cloud. Right. So that is the theme of the first cohort. And we, as Kaushik mentioned, there are multiple tracks. You can choose which track you want to be you want to learn. Right. And we have essentially three tracks that we have come up with in cohort one, and each of it addresses one specific aspect of this production ready Gen AI applications. Now you can choose one or more of this as per your interest, as per the time that you have available. So the first track is about building and deploying AI agents. We will be using Gemini, we'll be using Google's ADK or the Agent Development Kit, and we will be deploying agents to Cloud Run. So this is track number one, all right? Building and deploying AI agents. In track number two, we will see how you can connect these AI agents to real world, right? So it could be tools, it could be services, and we will be using the industry standard protocol that where agents talk to tools, right? This is called MCP or Model Context Protocol for those who know of this. And again, if this is sounds um, alien, then just wait. We will have explain this more as we go through those sessions and workshops that we have planned for you. So track two is how you connect your AI agents that you have built to real world data. And then track three, right? You have your application, you build anything, you're going to be running it in production. You, of course, want to be storing information. This could be user information, this could be personalization, application information. You need databases, and not just any databases that is ready for you. It's this current AI generation or AI ready databases, right? So, for example, things like an Alloy DB. So, we'll be introducing some of these databases to you and helping you understand how you can leverage this while building out your AI applications. So these are the three tracks, and we'll be also going through the learning outcomes and how you're going to be incorporating some of these learnings as you go along. Awesome. So again, all right, double clicking into the way that we have structured this. This is a quarter of learning, continuous learning technical mastery, going really deep into some of these concepts, and coming out with um, skills and capabilities that help you be market ready, right? And that where you have projects that you could showcase your learning. So this is how we are thinking about it. And this is, as we said, this is cohort one. So we'll be having this in three cohorts, right? So this cohort one, two, and three, on a quarterly basis, we'll be having three cohorts that walk you through this learning approach. So it's not just a single training, right? We're not just going doing one training and then you forget about it. We don't want to leave you there, and you also don't want that to be the way that you go about, right? Learn something and then not know what to do with that. So we are going to form a very rigorous program of learning, challenging yourself, building projects, and using our guided challenge based learning approach that we are going to come up with. Right, so this is where you'll be using, as I said, the cohort one is going to be about using some of our Gen AI tools, using the SDKs and ADKs, thinking about container runtimes, and how to use databases to solve some of these complex real world challenges. Okay, so this is the structure that we're thinking about. Great. um, I think we understand how the program is going to be run, right? And you will experience it as we go along. But let's get started a little bit in terms of context setting, right? And of course, you would have heard me name drop this particular word multiple times through the last, I don't know, 10 minutes that I was talking, and that is agents, right? So it's important for us to really understand what agents are. And as part of this first session, I'm just going to level set everyone in terms of, again, what are agents, how we think about agents, so that you can understand again as you select those tracks where some of these concepts and skills and technologies come in. So what are agents? I'll get to what is there on the slide, but agents have been a buzzword since maybe the last year, maybe even before, but definitely it was a buzzword in the last year, right? 2025. And we are continuing in 2026 to use the word agents, and and agents itself as a concept continues to ride this hype cycle. So which means this is here, right? There's something about it. It's not gone up the hype cycle, gone down, and then people have forgotten about it. It is still very, very important. We haven't exploited the full potential of agents, and we continue to build more and more autonomous agents that solves real world problems and use cases. So agents is really, really important. There is a lot that we can still innovate and do with it, but it's important for us therefore to understand again what exactly are agents, right? So that we can leverage it in the best way possible. So, going to the definition that we have, the way we think about agents, you'll see multiple definitions of agents. But the way we think about it is, agent is essentially an application, right? That's a baseline. It is like any other software application that you've been building. Agent is an application, but it has some specific aspects to it. First aspect, it uses AI models, the generative AI models, the large language models. It needs to use that because that is the brain of the agent. It needs to use that in order to make decisions, in order to think about the problem statements. And then agents have the capability to act independently based on how it is thinking about the problem, right? So it can act independently in order to achieve a user specified goal. So agents are again goal oriented, and it is able to think independently and act independently to go and achieve the goal that you have defined for it. And it needs a bunch of capabilities in order to be able to do that, right? We'll get into those things. But why agents, right? Why all this hype? Why all this buzz? Why do we keep talking about agents? There must be something to it, right? It is not just a software system. And again, this is where I would like everyone, as you're going through these programs, to internalize this concept of agents and build out agents the way agents are meant to be, right? And why? What is so different about agents? First part is very important, right? Agents are flexible. This, if you compare it to traditional systems, software systems which are rules based, right? You have clear algorithmic paths. You say if this, do this, else do that, right? So you have clear algorithmic paths, and agents don't need to follow those algorithmic paths, right? In fact, it shows its capability when it doesn't. They can reason, they can adapt to users inputs, they can handle edge cases by themselves. You don't need to go and define those edge cases, right? Again, if this happens, if the user provides this, then go do this thing, right? Agents are able to, once given a goal, agents are able to figure this out by themselves. And also, the great thing about agents is you don't need to interact with them in specific formats, specific inputs. It is able to understand natural language, and you can converse with agents in natural language, be it via text, via voice, or whatever be it. Right. So agents are really, really flexible and very unique as compared to traditional software systems. Agents focus on the outcomes rather than the approach. You don't tell it how to do things. You tell the agent what to achieve, and that is the difference. Since these agents are built this way, right? It's a dynamic, it is meant to think for itself. It also makes it very easy to prototype, right? It will figure its way out to the outcome, right? So there's a lot you can get agents out there, build agents if you use the right tools and techniques in a much faster way. And we have evolved, right, through 24 through 25. We have evolved our tool chains, our frameworks in such a way that it's very easy now to build out these agents and to test these agents, right? So it makes it very easy to prototype and start testing and see how it is working. Finally, agents are also have the capability to be proactive. They can run based on certain triggers. They can run based on a schedule, and this makes this intelligence that it has available in very proactive and helpful ways. Right. So these are the capabilities and power that we're seeing of agents, and which is why they're so popular. While we build these agents, again, it sounds very fancy, but not everything needs an agent. And this is the first thing that we should be thinking about as we build out agentic applications. There are a good number of cases where agents are a great fit, right? For example, what we have here is, maybe you want to create a system that gives you a personalized you create a personalized learning agent, let's call it that, right? And this is an agent that adapts to your learning style, to your individual preferences, the way you want to learn the topic that you want to learn. So it's not a app, one size fits all app where everyone has to follow a given learning path. The app can adapt to your individuality, right? And that is what makes it an agent, right? That it's highly personalized, it can adapt, it can be dynamic. You can have agents, for example, that solves business problems using real-time data sources, right? So it uses real-time signals, real-time information, and based on that signals, it can adjust itself, it can adapt itself and solve business problems. So here as well, agents are a great use case. What about you're building applications where you want to give a good customer experience, right? Again, the typical way that you would have seen systems is rule based. Provide this information, give me this screenshot, show me something else, right? And maybe that is not the flow for every individual, right? So again, when you go into a customer interaction system, your first question is, okay, what do you want? What is the problem? Select this problem. Do you have a damaged package? Is the item damaged or is the package damaged? So a lot of if else conditions, right? Whereas if you want to give your customer a great experience, you can build systems that are completely autonomous, that can use signals to understand what the user wants and take them through the right flow, right? So again, agents are very good use cases for this. Well, in a nutshell, the bottom line is that agents are outcome focused, right? You have the outcome that you want to achieve, and the agents help lead you towards that outcome. Now, at the same time, there are cases where you don't need agents, right? Agents don't make sense or they're overkill. So, for example, if you just have a large, you want to generate a document or generate, let's say, summarize a document, and maybe you want to, it's just a large prompt that you have, right? You have a lot of text, you have a system instruction. You just want to send that prompt to your large language model and get back a response, right? Get a response or make it write the response into a document, whatever be it, right? Input, output. In such a case, it is just an API call. You don't need an agent in this case, right? And again, I'm elaborating some of these things because you'll be using this as you build out your projects, as you go into that hackathon, right? So I would like all of you to think about really agents, how they're useful, where they can be used, right? So in these cases where it's just prompt based applications, you don't need an agent, right? An API call is good enough. How about you build maybe Q&A systems, right? Where you have knowledge bases and you want to query those knowledge bases, or you want to return results based on that knowledge base, based on only that information, right? The user asks something, you reference some material, and you give a response back to the user. Again, in this case, maybe you don't need agents, right? If this is the only thing that you're thinking about, definitely you don't need agents. Maybe there is more that you think about, in which case we can double click more. But typically in these cases, you need a RAG architecture or retrieval augmented generation systems, right? So building chatbots that can tap into a RAG system is good enough. You don't necessarily need agents that is goal oriented, or that needs to be autonomous in these cases. Finally, if you have systems where you want predictability, right? You're in regulated environments where you need to explain why a system took a decision that it took, right? These are regulated environments. Again, in these cases, AI or generative AI may not make the most sense, right? So in this case, you stick to your traditional machine learning models, or maybe things like classifiers. You stick to those, right? And this is what we call predictive AI. So you stick to predictive AI, and you don't need to use generative AI or build these agentic systems in these kind of cases. So again, think about your use cases, think about what you can do, and you can mix and match this, right? But it's important that you leverage these systems for the right kind of use cases. Okay. So we spoke about where it can be used, where it doesn't make sense to be used. And we also spoke about the kind of hype and why everybody's so excited about agents, right? But agents do also come with their own set of challenges. And predictability is one thing. We spoke about this as we, in the previous slide, as we spoke about those certain environments and certain systems. But it is important to understand at the end of it, your agentic systems are driven by your large language models, and large language models are inherently non deterministic by nature, right? You need not get the same output every time you give it the exact same input, right? It could vary. And you have to use a few techniques to probably try to get some repeatability, but there is no guarantee in that, right? So if you need predictability, if you need systems to behave exactly the same every single time, um, you may have some it's an expectation mismatch. I'm not saying that you should or should not expect it, but there's an expectation mismatch if you expect agents to behave in a predictable way. So that is one of the challenges that you will be facing. um, Agents, compared to traditional software development, the way that we've been building software systems, agentic systems are still new. I would like to say they're not yet as stable or as mature, especially when it comes to things like error handling. There could be cases where, maybe it goes into um, situations that you do not expect it to, right? So um, mm, it could fail in certain cases. Maybe sometimes the resilience of these systems are a bit on the lower side. It may not be able to recover from a specific path, right? Because in rule-based framework, the way that you build these systems, it's very easy to control the flow, right? You have your conditional flows, you have your exceptional flows, and you're able to uh, make your systems more resilient. Whereas building systems, and essentially this is a mindset problem, right? Trying to build agentic systems the way that we were building traditional systems is not the right way, right? And if you start trying to think about the error handling and repeatability and resilience, this is something where there are some mismatches, and again, these are the kind of challenges that you will face, right? Practices like security, practices like privacy, these are still evolving areas in the world of agentic systems, right? So that is something that you should be aware of. And finally, traceability and debuggability of these agentic systems. It is not very easy to be able to debug an agentic system, specifically trying to trace what the LLM is doing and why it is doing it, right? If you want to understand how the LLM arrived at a particular thought process, a reasoning, it may not be possible to trace that, right, or be able to debug that. Like I said before, don't treat agentic systems the way that we would work with a traditional software system, right? You'll have to do it in different ways. You'll have to have checks and balances. Allow the agentic system itself to recover and follow the right path towards the expected outcome and expected goal. So these are some agentic challenges that you will be facing. And I would like you to keep this in mind as you go through some of the learning curriculum that we have prepared, as you go through some of the practical exercises. and try to understand how to handle these kind of situations when we are building agentic systems. Okay, so we spoke about a lot about these systems, right? Agentic systems continues to be very important, continues to be exciting space for all of us. A lot of investment is going on in this. A lot of tool chains, runtimes, tool chains, everything is being built up, right? What are the challenges that we face? What are the benefits of agentic systems? All of this we understand the systems now. But what do you need now to actually build out these agentic systems? The important thing again is it is a software system, as we said, it is an application, and we need to ensure that we have a reliable architecture for running these agentic systems, right? Or for building agentic systems. So, what are some of the key things that we need? The first thing is we of course need this agent has to run somewhere. It can't run on your laptop, right? It's like you built a HTML page on your laptop, on your personal machine, and said, okay, everyone come and use it. That's not how it scales. So you need a runtime where you can deploy and run these agents. And Cloud Run on Google Cloud is a great option, right? It's a serverless container based runtime platform, and it works very well for these agentic systems. um, Agent, of course, you need the brain, you need the model, the large language model that powers this whole agent, right? So that is the next thing that you need. And again, Gemini 3, which is our latest state of the art model, is designed specifically for this, right? It's designed for agentic workflows. It's designed for taking actions using the tools that you give it, right? So choosing the model, right model, is very, very important to build out your agentic system. And final bit is you need to give your agent hands and legs, right? It needs to be able to connect to and talk to the outside world. And this outside world could be things like databases, could be things like APIs, services, maybe other systems, maybe document sources. So you need to be able to plug in tools into your agent. So this is the architecture, right? An agent needs a runtime, it needs the brain, it needs a model, which is very, very important, and it needs the ability, it needs information, right? So you connect it to external systems, and this is what we call as tools. So this is the architecture of an agentic application. Okay, and again, see, I don't want to go through everything because, of course, we will go through this as part of those tracks, right? So you choose your tracks, be it running AI, deploying agentic applications, where we talk more about the runtime aspects. The second part, which is about using MCP, we will talk there about how to connect to tools. Third part is databases. The third track is databases, where you will learn about how to, what are the right kind of places to store your data, how to give your agent memory even, right? You don't want your agent to be stateless or ephemeral. If you want to be able to persist information, you need to plug it into a database. So we will talk about all those aspects, but again, remember that this is what forms an agentic architecture. So again, just to recap, uh, as you do this, as you go through this learning, as you go through this cohort, you will learn a lot of concepts and skills. Maybe some of this you already know and you want to upskill on this. Maybe some of this is brand new to you. Leverage this cohort based approach, leverage the Google experts that will be coming in and that will be delivering these sessions to you, and use this opportunity to learn, right? So the first thing you will learn definitely about ADK, or the Agent Development Kit. This is an open source um, agent framework that we have created at Google, and you can very easily build your agents. Um, we are supporting multiple languages, right? But we will take you through some of the Pythonic agents to start with as we go through this course. And you can use ADK to build your agents, and you can even use it to run your agents, right? You can either use it to run locally to test for testing purposes, or you can deploy your agents to Google Cloud using, the framework supports this out of the box. So that's one of the things that you will learn. You will learn about Google Cloud Run. You will learn to use it. You will experience Google Cloud Run, the capabilities of it. It's a really, really powerful environment that lets you run agents easily and at scale, and irrespective of any language or framework, right? So Google Cloud Run can really help you there. You will start by learning to use it with ADK and Python, but you're free to go explore more capabilities of it. It is very cost effective and scalable, right? Perfectly suited for agentic applications. In fact, it's also a great platform to run MCP servers. So if you're going to be building your own services, creating MCP servers and you want to deploy them somewhere for somebody else to use, right? Or for you to use, or for somebody else to use. Cloud Run is a great platform for that. But you will learn about MCP as well here, right? You will learn about MCP servers. You will learn about how do you connect your agents to tools using this MCP protocol, right? And how can you leverage again this MCP protocol to talk to systems, talk to databases, right? Using MCP toolbox and a few other products and capabilities that we have. So this is something that you will learn. And finally, getting this agent out into production, right? You want to um, give your agents, let's say, memory, for instance. When you want to persist your agents, sessions, I come back, I do something, I come back tomorrow, I should be able to continue off from there. So giving your agents memory, being able to have some sort of observability, what exactly is happening, right? Or how is what kind of tools are being called, what kind of services are being invoked, what kind of information is being passed between each part of the agent. So having your observability and monitoring is also going to be very important and going to be part of this course. So these are all the things that you will be learning a lot more, but this is how what we envision some of the key aspects that you will learn as you go through the first cohort. Okay. So Google Cloud, we believe, is a great place to build, run, and deploy and take your agents to production. Right? We feel that it's a great home for your agents. There are a lot of capabilities. Whether any kind of model that you want to choose some of our Gemini models, Gemma models, or other third-party models. Google Cloud gives you access to those models. It gives you a variety of databases, right? Be it AlloyDB or any other Postgres database, even Cloud SQL. You can have your document storage. You have large data warehouses. Any kind of data requirement that you have that you want to provide access to your agents, you're able to leverage those capabilities. There's a huge variety of runtimes, right? Be it agent engine specifically designed to run agents, be it Cloud Run, where you can run agents, MCP servers, or any other APIs or services, right? Or if you want to take infrastructure control into your own hands, you even have the Kubernetes engine, GKE, Google Kubernetes engine that is there on Google Cloud, right? So pick and choose your flavor, the way that you want to do it. You will be able to monitor and observe. So the entire operation suite is available for you on Google Cloud for you to run and monitor and observe your agents that are running in production. Right. And again, being able to connect to various services, right? Be it your Google Drive services, Map services, Gmail, all of these capabilities and connectors are also available on Google Cloud, right? So it's one single home for you that gives you a lot of capabilities and options for you to build, deploy, and run your agents. So we hope you'll be able to leverage this to take your agents from the prototype phase, from running locally, to actually make it production ready, to being able to share it with your family and friends even, right? Show off what you've built and leverage these capabilities to make your agents something that you'll be proud to share and that you can give access to others. All right. With that, the last thing, again, just as to repeat, and interestingly, we spoke a lot about agents. We spoke about how agents are outcome focused, and the Gen AI Academy, we have thought of this as well in an agentic approach, right? So this program is also outcome focused, right? If you want to compare it to agents, and we will take you through all these concepts, everything that I spoke about. It's not just passive learning, right? You don't just sit, attend a session, and then forget about it or walk away from it. You will go through guided challenge based learning, right? And we like to emphasize this: guided challenge based learning is the way that this curriculum has been designed. You just won't be sitting through lectures. You'll be actively engaged. You'll be doing hands on. You'll be completing exercises. You'll be solving assessments and challenges. You will be implementing projects and submitting your projects, and finally you will challenge yourself with the hackathons. All right, so you'll go through this entire learn, build, complete, compete, and showcase approach as you're going through this curriculum, right? So the objective is learn real world complex problems so that you can leave this cohort, or you can leave this academy or this process with not just knowledge, and we'll ensure that you have deep theoretical knowledge, right? But that's not the only thing. You also have market ready outcomes, right? Market ready projects and skills that you can then showcase or you can immediately apply in your day to day roles that you're going through, right? So this is what it is. Again, thank you so much for listening to me for all this time. I hope this was useful for you, and would love to take any questions if you have, be it about the program, be it about any of the technical things that we spoke about. We said, you'll have a lot of these experts coming over and taking you through more sessions, but to start with, to understand what we're doing, if you have any questions, we would love to take that. And with that, Kaushik, I'll probably hand it back to you.
Yes, thanks for that insightful session, Prashant, on agents. And it was insightful for me as well. No matter how much we know, it's always less when we hear someone, right, talking about something as enthusiastically as you were speaking. So, really enjoyed it. How agents can have certain challenges. Really enjoyed that session. Had some relatability of when we develop certain agents, it goes haywire. So, yes, it was very insightful. Thank you for that, Prashant. With that, I'll quickly pick a few of the questions which I feel are technical, and post that I'll be taking up the program related questions. Okay, so I have something. Yes. Okay, so the first question is, in ADK, what all will learn, and are there any prerequisites?
Okay. So ADK is a really powerful framework. It has a lot of features and capabilities. All right. Now, um, let's start with prerequisites. I think the main prerequisite is probably just the ability to program, right? And if you have knowledge of Python, that is a great beginning, right? Because some of our courses will be Python focused, but ADK is available in a few other languages as well, right? So you can always go ahead and use it in the other languages. But from a learning and understanding point of view, as we do these courses, Python would probably be something basic. Ability to read and understand Python will be something that I would say as a prerequisite. What you will learn, we will start simple, right? So you will learn in the first part, right? We said about how do you build agents. So ADK has this ability to actually build out your agents. So we'll walk you through the architecture of ADK, what are the features, how to build agents. We will show you the capability to actually deploy on a runtime using ADK, right? So ADK will be able to package your applications into containers, and you can deploy that onto Google Cloud on Cloud Run or any other container runtime. We will look at how you can connect to tools, how you can use MCP and tools within ADK, right? So that is something else that, as we spoke about, that is in track 2 and 3. So we'll show that capability on ADK as well using agents. And finally, yes, ADK is a really, really powerful local uh, runtime and debugging environment, right? So we'll show you how to use that, how to test your agents, how to observe what is happening when you run your agents, when you interact with these agents, what kind of queries happen. So all of that is what we will take you through in the first cohort, right? And again, we can do a lot more than around this as we go into the future things. We would love your feedback as well, right? How are you finding these courses? What more depth do you need, right? And we can take that as we go along in future sessions.
Yeah. Thanks for that. I have another question from the chat. Yes. So the question is, which database is preferred for agentic AI?
So this is something that I really like, right? I, in Google Cloud, all of our databases is AI ready, right? So for me, the database that you're using right now is probably the right database, right? Um, all databases on Google Cloud, be it document store, be it RDBMSs, right, be it data warehouses, everything is vector ready, embeddings ready, and can really be used for any kind of AI use cases. But that said, we will take the most popular kind of database. We will use RDBMSs, and we'll use Postgres compliant databases. So this will be Postgres and Cloud SQL, or AlloyDB, which is also Postgres compliant database. So we'll be using these databases because it's the easiest, right? Everyone, majority of the folks use Postgres compliant databases. You don't need to learn anything new or anything different. So in this cohort, in this curriculum, we'll be using AlloyDB and Cloud SQL Postgres databases for our agentic applications.
Got it. Thanks for that, Prashant. Another question coming up. How much does the cloud run cost us to run a MCP. I'd say every developer's first thought that comes when deploying on something cloud is how much will it cost. So if you can relate
Absolutely.
to that.
It's really good to think about this right now. uh, Cloud Run is it's an amazing product that we have at Google Cloud that you should definitely leverage, and it has a really really healthy free tier. So a lot of our products have something called a free tier, where up to X number of calls per day or per month, you will not be charged. And I don't have the numbers at the right now handy, but you can look at the documentation. I would say upwards of 1,000 calls a day, if I'm not mistaken, is free, right? So it shouldn't cost you anything to develop and to test your applications. Now of course you build an amazing application and you publish it and you drive traffic towards it, then of course you will go beyond the free tier. I would love for you to get to that stage, right? But in terms of the learning part of it, you shouldn't have to it shouldn't be costing you anything to use the Cloud Run services.
Got it. Thanks for that. Another question coming up, which is, can AI orchestration be used in areas of work like cybersecurity and high-end sales?
No, no, absolutely yes. So it's interesting. I mean, it's probably not in the scope for this cohort, but great. I mean, just think about it as well. Um, you can do multiple things, right? So one is you can design your own AI systems to handle cybersecurity incidents, maybe, right? Um, so again, think of it in a goal based approach, right? So what do you need? What is the outcome you want to achieve? You want to identify, triage what the problem was, what happened. You want to maybe observe and monitor for security loopholes. If there is a new vulnerability that is discovered, maybe build out systems to go and monitor and check your existing systems, right? So there are a lot of such use cases, and you can DIY it, do it yourself, and build out these systems in an agentic way. We have done some of those things, right? So it is definitely possible you can do that. Or what we also have at Google Cloud is we also have out of the box agents that can that help you in this world, right? That protect your existing systems, right? So if you're not into the area of cybersecurity and you just want to secure your systems, then you can use some of our existing agents, right? Which does some of this, bot detection and all these other things, protecting your MCP servers even from attacks, right? So a lot of these ready-made out of the box services. So yes, bottom line, yes, it can be used. um, we are not going to be covering it, but I would love for you to think about it, right? Because these are the areas that we should be thinking about as we build agentic systems, all right? Because this is real problems or real concerns that we should be having as we think about agentic systems. Sales even, right? Again, I know a lot of use cases where people use this to come up with sales plans, marketing plans. We spoke about how agents can use real world data and real time information to adapt and change how it behaves, right? So it can be used as that as well, right? I mean, I would say yes, but how you would use it, this is where you would need to think about it, apply your domain knowledge, and try to implement your agents in that way. Yeah.
Sure. Under one question, it's pretty open to be honest, but how to decide on a model that we want to use? For example, if we want to build a project on accounts related feature, then where can I run some data tests for best LLM?
Sure. So multiple ways to do it, right? Where I would recommend it, just start with Gemini, right? It's a very powerful model. It can do a lot of things, and it is cost effective as well, right? You can start with the Gemini 3 Flash model, right? The Flash model is very very cost effective, right? And you can really understand if how to build your systems, all right, which is the first part. So model is one thing, right? But are you building out your agentic systems in the right way? Are you building out your AI applications in the right way to solve the right kind of problems? That is even more important than spending all your time trying to find the right model. So use the model which has a great price to performance ratio. As I said, Gemini 3 Flash is one such model that you can use. All right, start with that model, start building your applications, and then do evals, right? So, when you speak about data tests, you want to run evals. You want to see how your system is performing and handling different user inputs and different prompts or different goals that the user is trying to achieve. Um, you'll have to put some heuristics in, right? So, if the user, let's say the user wants to do something and they're not happy with it, they may give you a thumbs down, right? Or they may repeat the question, and these are signals that you will use. So you will run your evals, right? You'll have eval sets and then save all this as eval sets so that you can run this as you build an iterative system, so that you don't have a regression. Something that was working doesn't stop working. So you will do all of these things. ADK has this capability. ADK has a capability of again running evaluations. So when you use ADK, when you see the local development UI, you will see there's a tab called evaluation, right? So that is something that you can use to actually test, keep interacting with the agent, run those evaluations, and see if it is performing the way that you expect it to perform. Once you get your baseline established, now it makes it easy to just swap your models, right? If you don't have your test harness, if you don't have your framework and your use cases set up, there is no way you're going to decide on the model that you should be using, right? So like I said, start with a high cost to performance ratio model, right? Or low cost high performance model, um, and then build out your systems, observe what is happening, and if you then think that you want to change the model for any specific reason, like maybe you want to fine tune the model for a specific use case, you can then do it at that point of time and then compare against your evals, right? So that is the approach that I would recommend.
Got it. Just a couple of few more questions are popping up. I'll just quickly pass them through. So, can we get exposed to RHFL based tuning the agents? Currently, how effective and user friendly is it?
Sure. Google Cloud has RLHF services, right? So Vertex AI has the ability to uh, tune your model, right? Fine tune, doing RLHF tuning. So all this is possible. It is not part of this curriculum. At least it's not part of cohort one. Um, we can think about maybe including some of this as additional material. Oh, by the way, you will have access to Google Cloud, the Google skills, right? The Google Cloud skills for learning. And there may be some courses there that you can use to learn it, right? So that is one option. We'll again share information, right? The team will share information in terms of how you can get access to it, how you can do some of these learnings that is available there. So you can definitely do it there. Again, be conscious that, there was a question before about cost. Doing these kind of RLHF or fine tuning will incur more cost, right? And which is why we do not want to go into those kind of things and get you to incur those costs. Learning it from a theoretical point of view and learning it from from Codelabs or workshops using cloud skills, that is something that you could definitely do. But again, if many of you are interested in this kind of a thing, then we can think about how we can incorporate that into future workshops.
Sure. Um, Another one in terms of security. So, from security point of view, if we run agents locally, is it keeping data to itself, or will it be tracked back to Google if we use its LLM?
um, so what I would encourage you in any case, right, any model that you use, is take a look at the terms and conditions and the clauses of these models. If you use any of our model from the enterprise model, right? So whatever model Google Cloud gives you access to, like the Gemini models, um, there are very clear clauses that is there, right? So where it says which specific kinds of model where some of the data may be used, which model where we'll absolutely not use your data or none of the data will go back into the model. All right. So there's no clear answer for this. Again, it depends. We have a huge amount of models, right? So there are like, if you look at model garden on Vertex AI, there are probably 150 plus models, and each model comes with certain terms and conditions, right? So what I would encourage you is maybe just go through those terms and conditions and see the clauses of those models, both first party, third party models, right? And see how the data and privacy will be handled. Any kind of usage, I would recommend you to do that. Um, Enterprise models or models that have enterprise clauses, we will never use your data in that, right? But there could be some other, let's say, preview models or free models where the clauses may be different. I don't have the exact clauses top of my head for every single model, but yeah, please refer to the terms and conditions for each of the model, and you will know how the data will or will not be used in that.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Prashant. Just a few more questions participants will be taking up. Rest will be addressing. Ticker is running below, so you can reach out to the support email address that is being flashed on the screen, and your questions will be answered. So just before that, Prashant will take a few more. I hope it's fine with you.
Yeah, yeah.
So okay, it's about your like the statement that you are putting up. You mentioned earlier that we cannot use agents in regulated environments. So, do you mean that life sciences and healthcare domain by when you are speaking about regulated environment?
No, I mean, there are a lot of cases, right? There are a lot of regulated environments, and there is no hard line whether you can or cannot use, right? So when we talk about regulated environments, we need to understand what those regulations are. For example, there could be some environments where we have a regulation around the data movement, right? Like, very simple, the data has to be within the region, the country boundaries, right? Now, when you use build agentic systems in these cases, ensure that all the components of the system, the databases, the AI models, everything is within the country region. Now, in Google Cloud, we have regions in Bombay, Delhi, right? Within India, if you're building in India, for example, I'm taking, this is an APAC wide cohort, but I'm just taking India because I'm based out of India here. But there are two regions in India, right? And if I leverage the systems that are, deploy these resources, the API, the AI models, and the databases and every other resource that goes into the system, if I have it within India, I'm complying with the local regulations, right? Similarly to any other region, we have it in multiple regions across APAC, right? So that is one when it comes to regulations. There are other regulations where, again, I'm not an expert in these domains, but for example, there could be some regulations around, let's say, healthcare or in the medical domain, where there has to be a human in the loop, right? You cannot give medical recommendations or instructions without a review by a doctor, for example. So that is a regulation, right? If you have those kind of again, country to country different regulations exist, but now that is also a regulated environment, right? So ensure in those cases you have a human in the loop, right, and not just directly give your output to your end users when you build out your agents. That is one thing. As I said, what I was saying in the previous case was there are certain domains where explainable AI is a regulation. You have to be able to explain what happened, why it happened, right? In those cases, again, you provide more instructions or you break it down. You don't make your agents completely autonomous. So when you talk about ADK, right? Again, the question before about ADK, we may cover it, but you will definitely find it in the documentation. ADK also lets you create agentic workflows. First do this, then do this, then do something else, right? Based on certain decisions. Now, that is not a fully autonomous system. It is a workflow based system that also leverages some AI capabilities. But again, that lets you be a little bit more compliant because you have a more clear flow in terms of how your system executes. It's not just an opaque box. All right. So again, this is basically what I mean, right? So there's no yes or no answer that you can or cannot use agents. But if there are regulated environments, you need to understand the regulations, right, and use an appropriate kind of design or architecture to build your systems out.
Got it. Thank you, Prashant. Thanks for that. I'll quickly take up a few program-related questions that are popping up, and rest that we haven't been, unfortunately, not been able to answer. Will answer as soon as you write back to us. And we are also jotting down your questions. If there are some common questions, we'll be putting it up in FAQs so that you have a prominent answer to all of those queries. So, yes, there are a lot of questions as usual, that whether we get to visit Google offices. There are multiple programs across different verticals wherein you get those opportunities, but this is an APAC wide virtual program that we are running for, say, the entire APAC region. So that would help answer those questions. Yeah, there are a lot of questions regarding credits. So, yes, to answer both those questions for both Cloud Labs as well as Google Skills. So for Code Labs, you do not need any credits, but to deploy it on Cloud Run, we'll be providing you with some credits. You'll have an option on the dashboard where you can request for the credits, and we'll be providing you credits for deploying it on Cloud Run. To answer for Google Skills, basically, will again, you can request for credits. We'll be providing you those credits, and you can learn as much as you can. That's suggested skill labs which will be provided to you based on the track that you choose. You can attempt those. So I'd say that answers the questions that were there in terms of credits for both the Google Skills as well as Codelabs. Um, yeah, one question I see which is program related, but I'd say, Prashant, if you could answer that, like, what is the difficulty level of Gen AI Academy? Is it suitable for beginners with little or no background in AI or machine learning?
Um, so we do expect. You definitely don't need AI or machine learning, right? I mean, the traditional way of machine learning, yeah, that we've been, predictive AI as we like to call it. You definitely don't need that capability, right? As long as you are able to write computer systems, write programs, write code, I think that is good enough, right? Because that is the beauty of AI, right? So you really don't need an advanced mathematics degree or advanced machine learning skills to be able to leverage and use AI. So yeah, I think the answer is no for your specific question. As I understand what you're asking, you don't need machine learning knowledge. You can just come in with any basic application programming skills, and you should be able to leverage the learning that we have here.
Got it. The last question, Prashant, for you: will the curriculum cover the topics such as agent evaluation, agentic AI design patterns?
We may touch upon a few of the design patterns. There is a lot, right? So we may not be able to go through everything. What we'll try to do is we'll definitely have all of this as part of the, like I said, not the optional skills that we have, right? So all of this will be there in Google Cloud Skills as optional skills that you can definitely go through and learn. So yes, the information will be accessible to you. The instructor led workshops and sessions may not cover because we cannot do everything of that, but leverage the offline learning capabilities, and we'll have ways that you can even reach out to the experts, and use the cohort itself, right, to learn and ask these questions and explore specific aspects.
Thank you, Prashant. Thanks for that. I see a lot more queries popping up every moment, but unfortunately, with the interest of time that we have, we'll be happy to answer all your queries. Do not worry. The questions that you have put up, if they have not been already answered, we'll be jotting it down. We'll be circulating those. If we feel there are prominent questions across the participants, we'll be putting it in FAQs. And if there are some, we'll be addressing them in the upcoming sessions that we'll be having, as I mentioned, right? And just to explain before we close, the structure is as such: we have three cohorts which will be running right now. The first cohort is running. In the first cohort, the stages that look like is that we first complete the academy part, which is the more of a learning based program, wherein you first attend a workshop in which is multilingual, which will be happening in multi-regional languages. Then you complete a code lab, basically the hands-on lab that was taught to you in the workshop. You can practice that. Based on that, you'll also have an optional step of completing Google Skills based on the track that you had chosen, obviously. There are, again, to address that, there are three tracks overall in each cohort. Once you have completed the Google Skills as well as the code labs, you have the opportunity to attempt the MCQ assessment. There would be certain parameters for MCQ assessment passing. Once that is done, you can then, based on your track, you can make a submission, a project submission, which is your prototype. Post that, the hackathon would open up for that specific cohort. And this hackathon, I had a few more questions which I saw, that is team formation a mandate? So team formation, the team range is from 1 to 4, so you as an individual can also participate in those hackathons. And based on that, there are rewards and recognition. There's Gen AI master certification, then there's the Gen AI elite clubs. All the criterias, how to proceed, what are the next steps, are all listed on the website. You can have a view of it. Once you register, you'll land onto the dashboard, wherein you again will go through a guided step of what needs to be done. We know there are a lot of action points, but it's all for the participants, it's all for the developers that are out there who are learning, who are growing, and then obviously you get the rewards. So with that, I hope we were able to answer all your queries. And once again, Prashant, thank you for joining in and taking us through that insightful session of what agents are, what we can build with agents, and what are the capabilities, as well as what are the things that we should look into or keep into mind when we are building agents. So Thank you, Prashant. Thanks a lot for joining in, and I hope we have a great success this time. Again, the participants are more excited, and since we have opened it up for across the APAC, so welcome everyone to the Gen AI Academy APAC edition.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Kaushik. Thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you. Thanks, Prashant.